So hello students. Now in this video I'm just going to simply demonstrate to you guys how we go about approaching the assignment. Now the first step that you want to do is to try to go to where you see classwork. Alright? After we go to classwork, you want to ensure that you select the topic that says art movement activity. Now after you select that topic, you're going to see the instructions there from 1 through to 4. Now you have to follow each instruction one by one. Now in the event you don't understand what to do, it is in your best interest to make sure that you ask the necessary questions. Don't just go ahead and do a random work, or don't just go ahead and do something that you don't fully understand about, and then you end up not passing your assignment grade. Alright? So I want for you guys to follow the instructions. So number 1 says that you should ensure you select an art movement you like from the list. Now I gave you 3 art movements to choose from, and we got 5 of them, right? So you only have 3 to choose from. So you can select either pop art, cubism, or realism. Now let me just say this, Mr. Johnson selected realism. That does not mean that you guys have to select realism as your art movement. You can choose from either pop art or cubism, right? Now, the second instruction says you should find an artwork from the art movement you like. So when you've selected the art movement, let's say for example you selected pop art, you will now go to Google, type in pop art, and you'll see some images. Now you go to that section that you see about images, and you will select an artwork that you're interested in and that you can rework. All right, and that will now lead us to the third instruction, which says you should redraw or repaint the artwork as best as you can in your scrapbook. Now number 4 says if you decide to do a painting, do so on cartridge paper, and then, that word should be then cut the work to the size of your scrapbook. Now, the reason why you should use a cartridge paper instead of just simply going to your scrapbook and painting on the papers there is because the cartridge paper is thicker than your actual scrapbook paper, right? So it would be a waste if you go right ahead and start painting on the papers within your scrapbook. That will just ruin your work. All right, so you need to ensure that you follow the instructions. Now it says that you should note down here, use Mr. Johnson's work as a guide to set up yours. Now a guide is something that you look at so that you can help yourself with your work. That does not mean you should draw what Mr. Johnson draw, right? Or you should paint what Mr. Johnson paint. I just simply did this to show you an example of how your work should be arranged. The second note says that you should place the original picture that you selected, right? You should place that original picture of the artwork on the right, and you should place your drawing or painting on the left in your scrapbook, right? So now I'm going to be demonstrating to you guys how we go about doing the instructions. Right? So the first thing that we want to do is to go to Google itself. So I'm just going to come up here and I'm going to go to Google. Let's say I selected the art movement pop art. Once I've selected pop art, I will see a label called images. I'm going to click on that label and you will see a bunch of images coming up there. Now if I know that I'm not a strong artist in terms of drawing, I'm going to select one that I know that I can redraw or one that I can repaint. So let's say I like the one that says Blam. I'm going to select it, and once it is fully loaded, you will see it gets very clear. So I'm going to highlight, I'll save the image, right? Now once I've saved that image, that's the image that I'm going to redraw, or that's the image that I'm going to repaint. Now, if I don't want to do pop art, I can simply type in cubism. Once I search it, I'll see a bunch of images come up as well. And if I know that, alright, let's say I'm not such a strong artist as well, I can select this simple one right here. And I can say, alright, this is the one that I'm going to draw. Now, those words that you see all over the place, that's just to ensure that people don't steal their work. Alright? So you can still save the work and you can still try to use it. Now, if you want to give yourself a challenge, and that is why I place realism there, you can type in realism. And once you type in realism, you'll see a bunch of artwork there as well. And you can go ahead and do the same thing that we have been showing earlier. Alright? So the aim here is for you guys to ensure that you select an art movement that you're comfortable with, an art movement that you like. Once you have done that, you select an artwork from the art movement that you like and one that you're comfortable with recreating, and then you go ahead and recreate it in your scrapbook. And as I said, if you're going to be doing a painting, please ensure that you do so on a cartridge paper. So that will now bring us back to our classroom. So let me try to find Google Classroom. So let me just go back here. Alright, so we're back here in Google Classroom. So I'm going to now show you the work that Mr. Johnson did. So Mr. Johnson selected the art movement, realism, and some people call it super realism. So what I did was, I got a picture, right? So the original picture is on the right, and my artwork, which is Mr. Johnson, is on the left. So I did a painting of that person, right? So I ensured that I painted it on canvas, which is thicker than paper, and then I created a collage. I also arranged it on my device, and then I placed it as how I want you guys to place it. So I have my border, and then I have my labeling, the name, the grade, the topic, and the date, right? And then I place my work on the left, the original on the right, and that's exactly how I want you to approach it.